Just love the way they've modelled them to sit like this. Hi, welcome back to the Palaeocast Gaming Network. I'm Caitlin, and today I'm really excited to be able to play Saurian, now with added Triceratops. Let's jump right in. So this is Triceratops process, and this is in a very early testing phase at the moment, so you'll have to forgive any bugginess or glitchiness that we come across, because that's just completely normal for this stage of game development. But I'm just so excited to be able to play as a Triceratops. Okay, here I am as a Triceratops hatchling, baby Triceratops. Oh my god, that is the cutest thing I've ever seen. It kind of looks like a cowfish almost, its head shape. Very different head shape. The different coloration, so there I can blend into the horsetails. Oh, I see another juvenile over there. I can blend into the horsetails and the ferns and things like that. I'm a nice bright green colour with sort of a mottled spotty pattern to mimic the dappled shade that you see on the ground. And the adults have, let's see, same colouring at the moment. I can't tell who's male, who's female. I love the way they're sitting down as well. Can I do that? Sort of sit on my haunches. Oh, I haven't been reading any of the tips up the top. Oh, so enamored. Yes, the crouch button makes me sit like that. That's amazing. So as I was saying, the adults, oh, there does seem to be a difference in colour. So that might be the game dev's interpretation of dimorphism between male and female, so that the males are perhaps one colour, the females are another. In a lot of species that have ornamentation, such as horns and frills and things like that, it's the males that are generally more flamboyant. Oh, I guess that's the nest. That's probably... Oh, I can accidentally walk through it again. We're just in a testing phase here. Yeah, they probably could have made mud nests. They could have made nests out of plant material. Again, without actual fossil evidence, it's hard to say. Now, the cool thing about Triceratops, they're obviously a very well-known dinosaur. They are a type of ceratopsian dinosaur called a chasmosaurine. And the thing with chasmosaurines is chasmosaurines have these big horns above the eye. So they're post-orbital horns, post being behind and orbital being eye. So post-orbital horns are this huge extension of bone. And then they do have a nose horn as well, but it's relatively small. Whereas the centrosaurines, which are another type of similar looking ceratopsid dinosaur, like Pachyrhinosaurus and other dinosaurs like that, they actually have the opposite. They have really long nose cores and short stubby horn cores. So that's how you can tell the difference between those two groups. So we're looking at a chasmosaurine type of dinosaur. Obviously it's Triceratops. And Triceratops was one of the few dinosaurs, you can see here, its frill. It has this rounded big frill, of course, classic Triceratops shape, but it's actually solid bone, whereas all the other ceratopsids had these holes in their frills. They might have been covered with skin and life, but in the bone at least there were holes. They're called fenestrae, these holes. Some of them were larger. Other species of ceratopsians had a smaller fenestrae, but Triceratops had them completely closed over, so it's just solid bone. And you can see as well these little projections out from the cheeks. That's another classic ceratopsian feature, is to have these sort of little extensions, not horns, but little extensions of the the cheek. Very, very nice looking models. And you can almost see here, I'll have to draw a circle around it in post, they have really big nose holes, nares. So again, it's not like the whole thing was open. It's not got a huge nostril. That doesn't mean it have a huge nostril. They've got little nostrils in this model, but you can see where I'm drawing here that they've got this really big sort of nasal opening covered with skin. So it's another feature of the Triceratops. And let's have a look at their skin pattern as well. Oh, I should probably be eating, you know. Can I eat this food? I'm opening my mouth. I don't see my food bar going up. Maybe it's not the right stuff. That maybe looks a bit more hopeful. These horsetails? Yes, I can eat these horsetails. Okay. Now, okay, they're all sitting quietly. So let's have a look at the skin mottling and the scaly patterns. Oh yeah, you can kind of see there where the sun's shining. So having these sort of larger discs intermixed with smaller little polygonal shapes in between. Very nice and accurate. Ah, there you go. You can see it better there. Those sort of round little bumps. So that would be based on this fossilized skin of a ceratopsian that has been found. And the other thing I like as well is, so there's an interpretation here, obviously, of herding behavior in the game. And Triceratops fossils are like they're really abundant in the Hell Creek Formation. It's like about, 50 or 60 skulls that have been found. Not much of the skeletons, but definitely a lot of skulls found. But they're never found all together. They're just, it will just be a skeleton on its own. Whereas there's other types of ceratopsians, so the centrosaurines, you'll find them in mass death assemblages. So there'll be 10, 20, 30 skeletons all jumbled together. So that definitely then makes it look like, they travelled in herds and the whole herd was wiped out by some event. Whereas Triceratops, it doesn't necessarily mean they were solitary, but they could have been in these little herds, and maybe if one Triceratops died, obviously the rest of the herd moves on. Oh, this is so wonderful to be able to play another type of dinosaur. Oh, actually, I'm just having a look at my skull. I mean, the Triceratops' skull. And yeah, definitely got a different shape to the skull because I'm a juvenile. See my... Oh, hello. What were you roaring at? Is everything all right? My horns curve up, whereas the adult's horns curve down. I've got these cheek expansions as well, and a little frill with those little processes along the edge of the frill, those little spiky bits. Oh god. Okay, it's just a cloud. I thought there's some creature looming over me. But yeah, not the exact same skull shape, which is what you would expect, and what is seen at least in the fossil record for Triceratops, where there are skulls of younger individuals and then much older individuals. The horn shape seems to change. Right, well, it's night time. Parents haven't taken us to a source of water or anything, but maybe I'll just snooze here and advance to the next day. Are the other juveniles of my herd still with us? Oh no! You are no longer a member of a herd. Well, that's probably because I'm dead. Let's retry. They didn't tread on me when I was really little. Okay. We're back. Don't run into me. Thank you. I'm not beginning to distance myself. I'm right here. Oh, where are they going? Okay, now I'm beginning to distance myself. I'm sorry, you can see all my computer specs on the screen as part of this testing phase, that all this information is getting recorded. I'm not exactly sure how to get that off the screen. Well, now that I've found another herd of Triceratops, we can talk about the next sort of debate in Triceratops paleontology, which is there such a thing as Triceratops? And what I mean by that is there are, first of all, when Triceratops skulls were being dug up in North America, and they're only from North America and Canada, maybe Mexico as well, but certainly the Americas. And when these skulls were being dug up, there were lots of different shapes and sizes. So there were lots of different, maybe 20 or so species of a Triceratops genus described, and some other genera as well. And over time, we've realized that actually all of those skulls were just at different life stages of Triceratops. There are 2 species. So this is actually Triceratops prorsus, and there is also Triceratops horridus. There was also a question over whether these 2 were just different growth stages or male and females of the same species. But there was a study specifically on the Hell Creek Formation. And if you look at all of the Triceratops horridus skulls, they're from the lower part of the Hell Creek Formation, and their Triceratops prorsus skulls are from the higher part of the Hell Creek Formation. So the horridus Triceratops are older geologically than prorsus. And so now it looks like Triceratops horridus was the first type of Triceratops, and then as time went on and it evolved and changed horn size and shape and frill size and shape, it became Triceratops prorsus. And then the second bit of the argument is then, well, what about Taurosaurus? So this is another type of ceratopsian, another type of chasmosaurine as well, that you find in the same sorts of formations as you find Triceratops. And it looks relatively similar. There are holes in its frill, unlike Triceratops that has that solid frill. But there are quite a few similarities. So it was proposed by one group of authors that actually Taurosaurus were just really old Triceratops, and this is age-wise, not geologically. So Triceratops, as it grew up, the frill was a solid piece of bone, and then when it reached late stage maturity, so when it became quite old, the holes started to form in the frill, and that's what gave you the Taurosaurus. So actually everything's Taurosaurus. But since that paper came out, different groups of authors have looked into this separately and determined, is that an adult? Oh no. Have determined that actually no, Taurosaurus and Triceratops are distinct. Whether you are just looking at the shapes of their skulls, and both Triceratops prorsus and Triceratops horridus, it's called geometric morphometrics, and it's a kind of complicated thing, but basically if you mark out the eyes and the nose and the mouth and the edges of the frill and the horns on a skull, and then start to, in a computer program, move those elements around, stretch them, squeeze them, make the horns longer, make the frill shorter, it's very easy to get something that looks like Triceratops horridus and Triceratops prorsus without having to mush the skull around too much, but you have to do a lot of shape changing to get something that looks like Taurosaurus. I'm not actually that across geometric morphometrics, so I'm very sorry if anyone listening in is horrified with my explanation there, but the point is that the skull shapes are different enough to be different species. And then another paper was also looking at the Taurosaurus skulls that have been found. There's far fewer Taurosaurus skulls than Triceratops skulls. So that was one of the first authors' assertions that, well, they're really elderly Triceratops, and not many Triceratops obviously got to that age, and that's why there's fewer of them in the fossil record of these Taurosaurus skulls. But this other study found that actually, you can get young Taurosaurus and old Taurosaurus, and young Triceratops and old Triceratops, if you look at the way the bones actually fit together and fuse together to form the skull. So no, Taurosaurus isn't an old Triceratops, hence these are Triceratops. There's also another ceratopsian living around the same time called Taurosaurus, but you won't find it in this game. I just love the way they've modelled them to sit like this. I mean, I suppose they could do it. Like, I've seen a photo of a horse sitting like this, and cows can sit like that, but they just generally don't. But yeah, I think that's a cool addition. It's something to think about. There's a Triceratops. Okay, play it cool. Don't freak out. Okay. I am happy. Happy thoughts. Non-threatening. Please be nice to me. I'm gonna step a little bit closer, but don't get mad. Just a harmless little baby. No, 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 no! Run, 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 run! I'm gonna persist. I need a herd. Oh no. So I think I'm going to end it there, looking at the Milky Way, try not to feel too depressed that I couldn't find a herd that wanted to have me. And yeah, I know this isn't all stages of Triceratops' growth, but if you want to see more, then obviously just leave me a note in the comments and we can certainly play more, and I'll see how much farther along the growth cycle I can get the Triceratops.